Okay, so this video goes with part B, question 3, life and death, and topic 1, creation. Okay, so there's a variety of different questions you could be asked with this topic, and they're to do with Catholic beliefs on the creation of the world, Jewish beliefs on the creation of the world, scientific views on the creation of the world and why that poses a difficulty for religious believers. And then there's a potential question that could be asked about why there's a difference in views within a religion on creation. So, looking at it, first of all, the Catholic beliefs on the creation of the world. The first, this is all to do with where the evidence comes from. So, the first one is, well, quite straightforward, all right, is that the fact that it's taught in the Bible, all right, that in the beginning God created the heavens and earth, ex nihilo, all right, so that obviously comes from from Genesis, the creation story. It's not just in the Bible, it's also taught in the early church and practiced in the modern church, all right, so it's a feature of the Apostles' Creed, which said in every Mass, all right, I believe in one God, the creator of heaven and earth, okay. Then, if you have a little look at what's called the actual evidence that can be found in the world today, all right, so the idea of design. Now, I always say that the world must have been designed for somebody like Beyonce to exist. But if we're talking about things like sunsets, mountains, I mean, these beautiful things, well, even the fact that the world is the perfect distance away from the sun to sustain human life, all right, it's evidence that the world's been designed, and God, crucially, you've got to say, God is the best explanation for this, as he's described as being omnipotent, omniscient, right? Don't forget to do that last stage. The other one, okay, the theory proposed by Thomas Aquinas on causation, about everything in our world, all right, needing a cause, it's called needing a cause, or is it the effect of a cause, all right? Now, if everything in the world has a cause, then surely the world itself needs a cause too. Okay, now God is the best explanation for this because he's omnipotent, omnibenevolent, etc. Now, when you're arguing this, when you if you're writing this as a paragraph, I personally would really focus on the fact that God was the cause of the world, but also the cause of all life in the world, okay? And I'd link that to the idea that we were caused by our parents, they were caused by their parents, and about how all this leads back to a beginning, and God is the best explanation for that, because, as being the first cause, the only one powerful enough to cause everything, and himself. Now, if we look at what's called the final bit of evidence, is the fact that religious and scientific explanations have some correlation, there's some agreement between them. So you can say about the creation story acting as a metaphor for how the world was created. So, for example, you could link it to the order of evolution. The way that life is created in the creation story is reflective of the process of evolution. As well as on the first day, God said, let there be light, all right, which would obviously be a byproduct of the Big Bang, all right. Now, so that is the overall kind of view of what Catholics believe. Now, obviously, if you're answering the question, explain why Catholics and Jews believe that God created the world, then you focus on that in your answer. You just repeat those paragraphs. Now, when it comes to the Jewish view, it's quite similar, all right? They believe that God created the world because there's significant evidence in the Tanakh and in the world that we live in, all right, to suggest God is our creator. Now, obviously, it depends on what you've used in your answer about Catholics, okay, about the Catholic view. Because my advice would be, all right, to ensure that you include the Apostles' Creed, right, for the Catholic view, and I always practice, we say it in Mass all the time, because that frees up some of the arguments for you to use in the Jewish answer, save you being repetitive, okay? So what I would do is, I would probably say about, you could mention about the fact it's in Genesis, okay? You could speak about design, all right, more so than causation, all right, but focus on design. And you could also say, it was with that, if you want some variety in your answer, a Jewish teaching you can use about God being all-powerful and therefore the best explanation as the designer. It was called Orthodox Jews, they pray by saying, blessed be he who spoke and the world existed in their services. So it's a little bit like our Apostles' Creed, or the quotation that I gave you, that during their services, the Orthodox Jews confirm the idea that God is the creator of the world. Now, Scientific explanations. All right, so scientific explanations cause a problem for some religious believers or potential religious believers about the existence of God. Now, the reason for this is that they provide an alternative or potentially contradictory explanation of how the world was created, but they also argue that their views are based on scientific research and evidence. Okay, whereas the religious view is more of a matter of faith. Now, so the two main areas to really focus on here is the differences between the start of the universe that are outlined in the creation story and the start of human life. All right. Now, when it comes to the start of the universe, obviously the alternative to this is the Big Bang. Okay, that they say that there's a contradiction between the two of them. The Big Bang finds no place for God. When it comes to the start of human life, all right, that there are two theories if we're linking it to evolution: blind evolution and planned evolution. Now, some scientists would say that evolution is a process we go through natural selection that has nothing to do with God. All right, survival of the fittest, but. And I'll get onto this in a moment, this is how religious believers sort of respond, is the fact that they say it's planned evolution, that God designed us in that way to evolve, all right? But for this answer, you're focusing on how Richard Dawkins, in particular, how he proposed that it's blind evolution and that it's not anything to do with God, and it therefore contradicts the creation story. Now, when it comes to how Catholics respond to this, I've given a bit of a hint of this already, okay, when it comes to evolution, but other arguments that they use are the fact that it's the Big Bang theory, okay, and the theory of evolution. They're theories, they're not fact. Another one is the fact that there are some similarities between the two, okay, that can make sure that you can believe in both, all right, and that scientific explanations may even suggest that God exists. So, looking at this in more detail about the fact that they're not fact, that's quite straightforward, all right? That they're both theories, they're not factual, particularly when it comes to the Big Bang, about the fact that that where did the dust particles that started the Big Bang come from, okay? Now, the other one is that both scientific and religious explanations can be true, all right? And if that's the case, that is where you draw those links again, all right, between the order of life, the way it's created in the creation story being similar to evolution, as well as the links between the Big Bang and what's called the creation story. Let there be light, and about the fact that with the Big Bang, that light would have been given off as a byproduct, okay? You can link those two ideas together. Now, the final question you could be asked on this is a bit of a sneaky one almost, about potential variations, right, with views on creation within a religion. Now, if that does come up, then that is where you need to start speaking about the official teaching of the Catholic Church, the what's called liberal Catholic view, and a fundamentalist view. Now, a fundamentalist view, okay, would really sort of focus on how maybe the creation story being a factual account, all right? However, if you're looking at the official teaching and that of more liberal Catholics, that they would point to ideas like the links between evolution, the creation story, the Big Bang and the creation story, etc. And that follows a similar pattern with Judaism. So, those what's called so Orthodox Jews, some of them believe that it is a factual account in Genesis, whereas more liberal or Reformed Jews, that they would say that it's in a similar way to the Catholics, and say that, you know what, it's more likely that the creation story is a metaphor, all right? It's a metaphor, and the links between it and evolution and the Big Bang give us more of an insight into how the world was created and God's role in it.